You're listening to the Balanced Educator Podcast, episode number 137. Welcome to the Balanced Educator. We're your hosts, Kaylee
and Josiane from EduCalm. Our intention is to equip and empower you to feel more calm, balanced, and joyful in all aspects of your life.
Hello there and welcome. We're so excited to have you here with us today. In this episode of the Balanced Educator Podcast, we're talking about how to teach self-confidence in the classroom. We break down how we incorporate positive self-talk practices in elementary school, middle school, and high school, and the exact activities that we do to help students understand how beliefs are created and then how our beliefs about ourselves impact both our well-being and then our success in school and life. You're going to leave this episode with concrete strategies to help your students build their self-confidence and their positive self-talk. But before we get into the interview, we're excited to share this week's sponsor. We recently heard from a community college professor who's been teaching for over 30 years. Her name is Ginny Horan, and she's seen students struggling more and more with college work and time management despite all the advances in technology. Time management is the number one reason students drop out of college. So she decided to teach her students how to use a paper planner to manage their time, and they said it was life-changing. By writing down their commitments and schedule by hand and being able to see their week, the paper planner tapped into visual learning and the brain activation that happens when we write rather than tap. She also wanted to provide college success tips and mindfulness and gratitude prompts each week. So she created the Centered Student Planner, which includes a link to a private video channel with college success tutorials. The CSP sold out last year despite the pandemic. It's an amazing tool for high school and college-bound students and a perfect graduation gift. Right now, they're offering a free printable booklet called The Go-To Guide to Finals when you sign up on their website. Go to www.thecenteredstudentplanner.com to check it out. Again, that's www.thecenteredstudentplanner.com. All right, let's get into today's episode. But just a disclaimer before we start, I just got a puppy.
She's so cute. Her name is Juno.
So now I've got Nova and Juno. And then, of course, Bo is here with us too, Josiane's dog. So we've got 3 dogs in the room with us today. We just walked them and they're all sleeping. But if you hear some funny noises, it's probably them.
More than likely.
Yeah.
You ready to dive in?
I'm so ready.
Okay, so let's talk about self-confidence. Just what is it? Positive self-talk, all of that. Fill me in.
Yeah. So, when we're talking about self-confidence, we've all seen students in our class that clearly don't have as much confidence in themselves as we have in them. You can see how that lack of self-confidence impacts lots of things in their lives, how it impacts their interactions, their relationships, their ability to do well in their academics. And so when we're talking about self-confidence, what we're really kind of talking about is a belief system that these students or adults or any human has about themselves. And our beliefs about ourselves impact everything that we do. So when we are talking about teaching self-confidence in the classroom, we're talking about really actively teaching our students how to build beliefs about themselves that are going to help them have success in their lives.
Well explained.
Thank you. I'm in the zone.
No kidding. And I think it's important to mention that this is something that needs to happen even at a young age. We think that confidence issues start at a later time in life, but that is not true. That's not the case.
Yeah, the reality is we actually build our beliefs about ourselves really early in life. So basically from the, time we're born till the age of 12 is when we're really setting the foundation of our beliefs about ourselves in the world and everything else in the world. So when we are under the age of 12, our brain is at this building phase where like we're learning everything for the first time. This is making me think now of my puppy because it's at the phase where she's just a puppy right now. So everything she's doing it for the first time. So every interaction she has, she's learning to make sense of the world and understanding how the world works.
Okay, full disclaimer, she's the cutest thing ever.
She is very cute, yes. But I can just see her little brain trying to figure out the world. Like, okay, there's a car that drove by and it was loud. And the initial reaction is for her to be scared of that loud noise. But then she's looking for what happens next. So, okay, the loud noise happened, but I didn't get injured. So loud noises don't equal pain necessarily. Loud noises, actually, I'm okay. So loud noises aren't a danger.
So now how does this, what you just explained, how does this connect with the idea of positive self-talk and self-confidence?
Yeah. So with students and all humans below the age of 12, their brain is building this understanding, this model of the world based on every experience they have. So, they might have one experience of, not doing well on a math test or being asked a question about math and they freeze up and they don't know the answer. And so then their brain associates, okay, math equals embarrassment. Math equals bad.
Math is hard.
Yeah. And
I suck at math.
Exactly. And so then that belief about their ability with math that was based on an experience that happened at a young age can stick with them because that's just their brain is in this building phase.
Also remembering that it's also what they hear, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like kids are mirrors of the adults that they spend the most time with. So if they're spending time with a parent that is saying things like, I'm terrible at math, I'm so terrible at it, they'll probably internalize that too.
Yeah. Absolutely. And even things like, interactions with friends, like they might have a friend in kindergarten that told them, you're stupid. And then that just stuck with them. Like, I think if all of us, I'm sure if we talk to anybody in the world, you have one memory that really sticks out for you from below the age of 12 that really like shaped your belief about yourself. And it's oftentimes a totally inconsequential, random interaction that like just really stuck with you. And that's just because that's the phase that your brain is in at that age. You just take everything in and you believe it as truth because that's how your brain works at that age. And then after 12, that's when we start questioning those beliefs.
So how can we leverage that?
Yeah.
The fact that we're just taking everything in and believing.
Yeah. So as teachers, we're in the business of building the brain, right?
In the business of it.
We're in the business.
It's all business. No fun.
Like our job as teachers is to like help shape our students' brains. So, we think about shaping their brain around math, science, languages, all those things. But we are also shaping their fundamental beliefs about themselves. And those beliefs about themselves are going to carry them through their lives. So if we can actively teach them at that young age how to have positive beliefs about themselves, that's going to affect everything. It's going to affect how they act in class. It's going to affect their confidence in being able to accomplish their goals. It's going to affect everything.
And how they tackle new challenges.
Yeah, absolutely. So like if we're thinking about beliefs and building these beliefs, I like to just think of like these two different scenarios. Okay. So if you are going into a brand new room, okay, let's say you're going into a room, you don't know anyone in the room and you have no idea what's going to happen in there, but you know that when you get there, you're going to have to like perform a task. Okay. It's like a complete unknown. Okay.
Scary.
Totally, completely unknown. Yeah. So if you are standing outside that door, just imagine yourself standing outside that door and in your mind, you're like, oh, I'm probably going to mess this up. Like, oof, I don't know. I'm not very good at thinking on my feet. I'm probably going to say the wrong thing. Who's going to be there? Are they going to be judging me? Is this a test? Is like, what's going to be on the other side of How does that feel in your body?
Oh, I'm nervous.
Yeah, you're actually creating the hormones for fear, for anxiousness, for fight and flight. Just those thoughts, thinking in that way is making you feel a certain way. And so when you feel that way, like I physically can feel my shoulders rolling forward. I can feel myself. I feel like small.
Clammy. I got clammy when you started talking about it.
And so when you walk into that room in that state of being, how do you think you're going to react to whatever's on the other side? Probably with not very much confidence. You're going to be worried.
You're going to be all folded onto yourself.
Yeah. And in that state of being, whatever it is on the other side of the door, you're probably not going to like perform at your best because you are expecting to not do well. Your belief about yourself is that this isn't going to go right. And so if your belief is that it's not going to go right, it means that your actions dictate that it's not going to go right. Because when you believe it's not going to go right, you're not going to act as well. And so you will have created the reality that you believed. If I believe that I'm not strong,
Mic drop.
I made true the belief that I had about myself.
Which was thoughts are our reality.
Exactly.
We have an episode on that. I can't remember which number, but we can put that in the show notes.
Yeah. And so same situation. Okay. Imagine yourself in front of this door. You have no idea what's on the other side. And you're saying to yourself, okay, this is so exciting. I wonder what's going to be on the other side. Maybe it's candy. Maybe it's my friends. Maybe it's my grandma that I haven't seen in weeks. Maybe, I wonder if I'm going to get to jump on a trampoline.
You're like growing taller as you're saying it right now, like watching you.
So just having those thoughts creates a totally different experience in your body. And so how are you going to walk through that door? Like imagine yourself walking through that door. When I walk through that door and I'm thinking those thoughts, I'm standing tall, I'm excited, I'm looking for what's on the other side, I'm smiling. And in that state of being, I'm more likely at least to create a reality that is exciting, that is fun. And so just that self-talk, those words that I'm saying to myself affects how I think, how I feel, and how I act. So what we want to do in the classroom is teach our students exactly that our thoughts have so much power and that we can choose the thoughts that we say to ourselves and that then those thoughts that we repeat to ourselves become a belief. And eventually we believe those thoughts that we have. And so if we can choose positive thoughts and repeat them until we believe them, then it just becomes easier to walk into that room with your head held high because you believe that that's who you are as a person.
I love it. Okay, so how to in the classroom? What's the concrete strategy? That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
To dive into this. What's step number 1?
So first things first, as we always say, routine and repetition.
How tired are you guys of hearing us say that? Routine and repetition is the key to success.
Exactly. So this can't be something that we just do once and expect our students to like take it with them in life forever. This is something that we need to practice consistently so that they're building their brain around this understanding and that they're really integrating this understanding into their actions. So it's something that we're going to do repetitively to begin with. Now, what you and I like to do in our classroom is bring this process into our mindfulness practice at the beginning of class. So we like to teach our students, guide them through mindfulness, or listen to the EduCom Classroom audio. That's what I do now, is listen to the EduCom Classroom audios, which guide them through this process of learning how our brain thinks, like recognizing our thoughts, seeing what thoughts are there, and then choosing the thoughts that we want to have about ourselves, and then building on that.
Yeah. So in EduCom Classroom, which is our online social, emotional, and mindfulness learning program for the classroom, it is taught in a gradual kind of release format so that the strategies are building on each other. So before we started this episode, we were kind of talking about how it's kind of it's kind of like the Bloom's taxonomy idea, right? Where it gets more and more complicated and deep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It starts with like, the base is just you're memorizing this thing. It's like knowledge that you don't necessarily fully understand, but you're able to like repeat it. So we start with having our students think thoughts on purpose.
Okay. Let's talk about, for those who are not Educom Classroom subscribers, how can they do this on their own? This first step or second step, because the first one is creating the routine always, but the second step of this repetition or whatever. So let's talk about how anyone can do this in their classroom tomorrow.
Yeah. So I would say, first having a conversation about how our thoughts affect how we feel, and you can guide them through this visualization that I just did with you, with walking into the room and the thoughts you're having before walking into the room, so they can feel that difference of how thinking different thoughts feels in their body, and having that discussion of how does that feel in your body, and how does that affect how you act, so that they really understand the point of this, right?
Yeah, because they can feel it, and if they can feel it, it's real.
Exactly. So then you would guide them to repeat I am statements in their mind that help them to kind of discover how repeating certain statements makes them feel. So it could be like, okay, I am calm. Repeat after me. I am calm. And repeating it, like I would say 5 to 10 times out loud or in your head.
Yeah.
And then just checking in, like, how does that make you feel?
Yeah. And I would say with younger grades, it's probably easier to do it out loud. Everyone repeats because they're used to doing that anyway. Mm-hmm. And then for older kids who might be more embarrassed, that you just get them to close their eyes and kind of think the I am statement.
Yeah.
Like examples, you said, I am calm. Could be, I am strong. I am loving. I am focused. I am happy. I am kind. Like basically any positive statement that comes into your head as a teacher, mm-hmm. you just say it out loud. It could be, I am strong in math. I am, anything.
Yeah. Just
letting them feel it out.
Yeah.
When they're practicing repeating it in their minds.
Yeah.
And just checking in, right? How does it feel?
I also, side note, like to do this with my students with my high school students before a test or presentation. I'll be like, repeat in your head. I am ready for this. I can do this. I'm going to perform my best right now. Even if I make mistakes, that's okay. I'm learning. This is a chance for learning, not for proving myself. And I guide them through like how I want them to think. And my students have told me multiple times that they really appreciate doing that. And it's really reduced a lot of their anxiety.
It makes them grow a couple inches taller and feel better.
Yeah. And you can help prime them with the growth mindset type of thoughts that you want them to be having.
That's right.
But as we always say, practice this before putting it into action. So this is something that, we would have done in class before I do it right before a test.
Yeah.
They've had the practice of saying these thoughts and noticing how it makes them feel.
So that would be the first thing, is just the repetitions. Mm-hmm. Like trying on clothes when you go to the store, you're just trying on affirmations. You're just repeating them. There's no expectation, it's just like trying them on, seeing how they fit,
Yeah. And then seeing which one really makes me feel good. And that can be a discussion that you have with your students afterwards too. Like, which affirmation really made you feel good, and which one would you want to keep using in the future?
Yeah. And which one didn't make you feel good? And then you could dissect why.
Mm-hmm. So many opportunities for discussion here.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. So then again, this gradual release idea, the first thing is to just practice repeating.
Mm-hmm. And we would do this for about a week. At least, you want to do this practice of just you say the affirmation, they're repeating it out loud, or they're repeating it in their head. And just, I don't know if we actually defined what an affirmation is, but it's a positive present tense statement that helps you to feel the way you want to feel, even if you don't feel that way yet. So what we're doing here in this first week of just saying these positive I am affirmation statements is we are showing our students that repeating sentence, a phrase, a thought in our mind helps us to create emotions that help us to feel that way.
Which
so step one.
We know works because we've been using affirmations and I am statements for years.
Yeah,
and
it makes a difference. It has been life-changing.
You wouldn't think, but it's life-changing.
Yeah, let's take a little tangent to talk about this now. Can we take a short tangent? So we like to choose kind of an affirmation, Josiane and I, that we repeat for like a whole year, and we say it to each other all the time. And it's so fun because by the end of the year, we start having these moments where like, oh my gosh, this is really true for me now. Like in the beginning, when you're saying it, it doesn't feel true for you. You feel like you're trying on a new pair of pants
weirdly
that don't
fitting. Yeah, it doesn't quite fit.
And over time, because you keep repeating it over and over and over, you start believing it. And then it starts
like a pair of jeans that gets better and better.
Yeah, exactly. Just worn in.
Just starts fitting your body properly. And
then one day you're like, oh my gosh, this is true for me all the time now. This affirmation that felt like it wasn't true for me in the beginning now feels like, it's a belief. It's like part of who I am now. It's so cool to see that transformation and how your brain changes over time with practice and repetition.
Patience.
Lots of repetition and patience.
Yes. Repetition.
Yeah.
We'll say it 1,000 million times. Okay. Okay. So, repetition, and then next step.
So then the next step is we want them to identify positive feelings that they have about themselves already, or like positive beliefs that they already have about themselves that are easy for them to say that to themselves.
Yes. This for certain students might be very difficult though.
It was so interesting when I did this with my high school students. They really kind of felt awkward saying positive statements about themselves. And we had a really interesting discussion about how like, oh, you're just, if you say positive things about yourself, it means that you're like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like egotistical, like you shouldn't be saying good things about yourself. That's really like means you have a big ego. And I'm like, no, you need to say good things about yourself. It's so important. So it's interesting how like our society has taught us that we're not supposed to think good thoughts about ourselves. So yeah, this can definitely be a difficult exercise for some students.
But it's an opportunity of growth for the kids.
Yeah.
But the exercise is really simple. Again, getting your students to close their eyes. Do you want to try it?
Yeah.
Okay, close your eyes.
Okay.
And think of something positive about yourself. So that's, as the teacher, that's all you have to say. Come up with a positive thought about yourself. It can be any thought at all. So something you like about yourself, something you're good at, a quality you have. It could be something that a friend has told you once, like a compliment. And it can be something as simple as I am awesome, or I am special, or I'm kind to others. So I'll let you think about it. Now, whatever you chose, just practice repeating it over and over in your mind.
That feels good. I like that. It's interesting. Something just popped into my mind that I wouldn't have expected I thought that my mind would have reached for like, I finished all the tasks on my to-do list today or something like, superficial like that.
Teacher stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But my brain went to, I am loving.
Oh,
and that felt
wonderful.
It felt really good. And then I started, as I was repeating it, I started imagining interactions with my family and my pets and my friends. And
that's awesome.
It made me feel good about myself.
Yeah. So just guiding them through that. And at this stage, I would give examples. Mm-hmm. Because otherwise they might just be blank. Mm-hmm. And then the next part of this exercise would be to get them to actually write this down. Mm-hmm. And either they choose one thing and they write it down like 15, 20 times.
Like you're writing lines just over and over.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Or like, depending on the group you have, one might be enough. Mm-hmm. Or depending on the group you have, you could just get them to write like a journal entry, just writing down things that they like about themselves. And also just make sure that you let them know that they won't have to share this with all of their friends. I know, like, I've been teaching grade 6 this year. If they thought they would have to share this with all of their friends, they would have not written anything. So depending on the age group, just kind of a, little tip.
Yeah, that's so smart. Like letting them know that this is private. It's for you. We're doing it in school, but this isn't like a school assignment that's going to get put up on a billboard or had to be shared with the class or anything, because it is very personal.
So again, this is something we would do for at least a week, just that. And if they choose the same thing every single day, that's okay. Like there's nothing wrong with that. We're building. It's gradual release, gradual building of these positive thoughts.
Yeah. And especially for like middle school, high school kids that probably have that idea that it's like bad to think good things about yourself. It could take them the whole week before they're even really like opening up to the idea of thinking positive thoughts about themselves.
Yeah.
It actually really floored me how hard it was for me to get my students to think positive thoughts about themselves. Like I forgot how when you're a teenager, how like self-conscious you are, and how, it is this like negative narrative about being confident.
This is definitely a whole like activity unit type thing that you have to have the groundwork in your class. Your classroom has to be a safe space.
Yes.
Your students have to know that they're safe, they're respected before diving into any of this.
Yeah. I totally agree.
Another way that you could approach this exact like coming up with a positive thought about yourself is to get students to write a journal entry where you ask them to be a friend to themselves and to write down compliments to themselves. So as if themselves was a separate person, then it just gives them this new perspective.
That's so helpful, because so many of us can be, I know when I was like really starting to work on like positive self-talk, self-love, things like that. Like I really taking on that perspective of like, if I was my own friend, how would I talk to myself? Because I'm so much harder on myself than I am on my friends.
That's right.
Like I'll praise my friends for like just being themselves. Like you can get 0 done today, you can do nothing, and you're just perfect for being you. But I would never afford myself that same type of unconditional love.
That's right. We're hard on ourselves.
Yeah. So taking it from that perspective of how would you speak to a friend?
And another journal question that you could ask in the same kind of area is just to write down positive thoughts about themselves.
Yeah. Nice and simple.
Yeah. So those are just like 3 ways of approaching
kind of the second week.
That's
step.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So now we've practiced repeating. We have practiced just thinking positive thoughts about ourselves that we already believe. Next step is a little getting deeper. So now it's to create positive thoughts about ourselves. So these are thoughts that we may not already believe.
It's nice to approach this step from the angle of like, what would I like to believe about myself that I don't yet? What am I hard on myself about that I'd like to no longer be hard on myself about? And then creating like an I am statement that goes with that. So my like favorite affirmation that I always go to and explain is just that like my whole life, I've always had a hard time being on time for things. Like that's just been since I was a kid.
I was going to say not so much anymore.
Well, no. And it's because of the affirmations. Like my whole life, I was always running late. Like when I think of my childhood, I think of like always being late. I always arrived just on time for school. My parents were always like, let's go, get in the car. Like, I don't know what it was. It was just the one thing that I struggled with. And then once I became an adult, I was like, I'm sick of feeling anxious about like being late for work. I always felt like I was going to be late for work. So I decided to create the affirmation that I am always on time. And I repeat that affirmation to myself literally every single day. Because every morning I'm like, oh, I'm going to be late. No, I'm always on time.
I love it.
I always have the perfect amount of time.
It feels so much better.
It just calms me down. And then guess what? I'm always on time.
Yeah, because you're not like frantically like rushing yourself.
Yeah. My thoughts create my actions when I'm like, I'm always on time. And then I have the thought of like, oh, maybe I'll just unload the dishwasher before I leave for work. And I look at the time and realize I don't have enough time to unload the dishwasher. No, I'm not going to do it now because I'm always on time. So that means I leave now.
So in the classroom with students, that could look like, again, closing the eyes, just like we did in the first 2 steps, 3 steps. I don't know how many steps we're at now. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
3 now.
So asking students to close their eyes and then to think of something positive that they don't yet believe about themselves, but that they would like to believe about themselves one day. So it can be anything at all, anything that they wish that they liked about themselves, something that they'd like to be good at one day, a quality that they feel that they would like to acquire, anything positive that they'd like to think is true one day. Mm-hmm. And then ask them, so let them think about that for a minute or so, and then ask them to turn that thought into an I am statement. So for example, if you'd like to be stronger in math one day, you could say, I am strong in math. Or if you feel you'd like to feel more focused, you could say, I am focused. So
the trick here is students or people, when they're creating I am statements, tend, when you don't yet believe it, you tend to like water down the statement. So instead of being like, I am good at math, you'd be like, I am okay at math.
Yeah,
or like
one day I'll be good at math.
One day I'll be, that's a big one, putting the one day in there. And so the idea here is to like say the statement as though it's already true, so that it's like you're already that person that is good at math, even if you don't believe it yet. And then the practice is repeating it until you believe it.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so writing, journaling questions that could go with this, asking students to create positive thoughts about themselves and then turning them into I am statements. So as a journaling activity. So basically what we just did with the eyes closed, now on paper.
And it might be a lot easier or more effective with younger grades to actually start with the journaling part and then repeating it in their mind after, especially with like, I'm thinking kindergarten, grade 1,
sure.
like they wouldn't be able to build that I am statement. So that could be like a whole English ELA lesson or French lesson about creating that statement. And this could definitely
you could talk about the like capital letter at the start, the period, like going through how to write a sentence, all that, like, yeah.
Lots of ways that this can really get integrated into your regular curriculum. Like this doesn't have to be a whole extra thing that isn't connected to what you teach. This can be how you teach something.
Yeah. I mean, this year I taught ELA and health and I always integrated one with the other. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Another journaling question could be, think of things you don't yet believe about yourself, but that you would like to believe about yourself one day. Mm-hmm. And then another thing we could do is getting students to choose that one, because you can't work on all of the things that you want to get better at once. You have to choose one thing, because then you get squirrel brain, you get overwhelmed. And so I think the next step after this would then be for students to choose that one thing that they want to work on right now, creating an I am statement for it if we haven't already created one, and then like making a visual of sorts. It could just be like a post-it on their desk. Granted, depending what grade they're in, they won't want that in front of everyone else.
In high school, it might be telling them to put a reminder on their phone that goes on every day that has their I am statement.
Or their desktop photo, or I had a really creative group of kids this year. So getting them to like create a graphic design of it or whatever, but like having that and then putting it somewhere where they're going to see it all the time. Mm-hmm. That's so important. Repetition, repetition, repetition. Do we say that enough yet?
Let's repeat it. Because Because the thing with creating a new belief that you don't already have is that you don't believe it yet. So you're not even going to remember that you're supposed to practice believing it unless something reminds you to practice believing it, because it's not natural for you yet. So you need this visual reminder that's going to say, okay, practice your I am statement.
We got the I am Post-its all over the place, you and I.
Yep.
just to make sure we're practicing those intentional thoughts, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So pretty much in Educom Classroom, there's 5 audios in the positive self-talk unit, and they're pretty much organized in the way that we just explained. So it's like the concept just builds on each other as the unit goes on.
Yeah.
And the idea is that by the end of the unit, which takes 4 to 5 weeks, that they are starting to believe the thought, or in the beginning stages of believing, or they half believe it. You know, they're on their way. So giving them the tools to then understand that they can choose to believe what they want to believe. They just have to work at it.
Yeah.
So we're basically at the end of that unit sending them off with this amazing, amazing, amazing strategy that will help them their entire lives.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, that just reminded me, I did like a survey of my students at the end of the year to ask kind of what their takeaways were from doing EduCalm all year. And a few of them said that their biggest kind of learning and takeaway was that like they can choose their thoughts and they can choose how they talk to themselves. They have that choice.
Amazing.
And that,
you know, you did your job when, right?
Oh, that, yeah, it felt really good reading those surveys
beautiful.
and seeing what all the takeaways were. So
that's exactly why we do what we do.
Exactly.
That makes me so happy. Yeah. And then in the unit, there's also booklets with all of these journaling questions. There are posters. There's also, we were talking about like creating a really beautiful visual poster. There's like a template in there that you can just print so the students can use right away, no prep. And in a different unit, in our growth mindset unit, there's a whole little project activity worksheet about how to create affirmations with students, with lesson plan and all. Everything is there.
Yeah. So you can definitely like start with the growth mindset units and then move into positive self-talk, or jump around. And if you want to go straight to positive self-talk because you're like, this is what my students really need right now, you can always go into the growth mindset unit and just grab that, how to create an I am statement activity, and then use that to springboard into positive self-talk.
Yeah. I mean, growth mindset and positive self-talk are like super connected.
Yeah.
They totally work together, right?
Yeah.
So,
and everything in the program really builds on each other.
That's right.
Yeah.
I love to do the growth mindset units. There's 2 growth mindset units, and then the positive self-talk. Because then it's like you give them that base of like learning that they can do anything they set their mind to, and then sending them into this positive self-talk is like a perfect next step.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you can try EduCalm Classroom for free if you're not already in there. What's in the EduCalm Classroom free trial?
So when you sign up for the EduCalm Classroom free trial, you're going to get access to the first unit of our EduCalm Classroom program. So the EduCalm Classroom program gives you audios, booklets, activities, worksheets, everything you could possibly want and need. Yeah, in both English and French. And there's enough content in there to last you more than a school year. So you wouldn't even be able to go through all of this in a year. That means that you have enough that if you're doing it from year to year, you can kind of try new things. But that is the full program. When you sign up for the free trial, you get unlimited access to the first unit. So you get to try out the Introduction to Mindfulness unit with your students, see if it's a good fit for you and your teaching style, see if you like the resource. And if you really do, then you can invest in buying the membership to EduCalm Classroom, which is going to give you everything. The other great thing about the free trial is that there's training for you as the teacher and a bunch of supports that can help you to know how to kind of like talk to your admin about this or talk to parents about this. So really anything that you want, training, video, everything you need to get started with confidence is in that free trial.
And it never expires, the free trial. So you could use the free trial for years to come.
Yeah.
So if you sign up now, like don't think like in a month you're done. You're good to go.
Yeah. And if you find that the first unit is enough for you, then perfect. You have a free resource forever
to enjoy.
And did I say it's bilingual? It's English and French.
You did, yes.
Okay, perfect.
But no harm in saying it again.
Repetition.
Repetition is key. So you can check it out at educalm.com. That's EDUCALME. Go get that free trial and have an awesome week.
Have a wonderful week. We appreciate you. And if you enjoyed what we talked about in today's episode, or if you enjoy the show in general, please share it with a friend or colleague that you think would get value from it too.
Sharing is caring. Bye.
Bye.